Okay, so I'll share the screen now again. All right, so before we proceed, I would like to correct something I said last time. Uh, as if I remember correctly, I said that, this anatinometh in line in previous section 3 in lines 4 and 5, uh, where it is. Mm, uh, um, hmm, uh, 4 and 5, as I remember. Yes. Here, anatinomous, and I suggested that it can be taken in the middle sense, but now, as I uh, thought of it more, I think it's wrong. It should be taken passive, just as because it was, it's surely passive when it occurred before in section 2, lines 15 and 16. Remember when it was said that this the ray, this divine rain, draws us, anatini, and correspondingly we are drawn, anatinom, anatinom, anatinomenus, we, or the minds, the pure mind. So there it's clearly the activity, the divine activity is drawing or uplifting, and we are drawn or uplifted. And I think it's the same here in uh, uh, in the section we read last time. So it should be taken uh, in the passive stance. Uh, uh, right. So again, here in lines 4, 5. Uh, okay. Any questions about that? So that's just corrections. Uh, uh, and actually the same. So anatinomisa ke photogagomisa, that's obviously passive too. That's what actually prompted me to reconsider this. Uh, okay. Now, who was reading the end last time? Uh,
I think that was Adam.
oh, okay. So we go now to Cole. Would you take, Cole, please, this beginning of this Tafta?
Mhm. Tafta proston tion logion memeimeta, que passan hosipen tiniran ton theologon hymnologian herisis prostas agathurgos tis diarchias praodus, ekphantorikos ke hymnitikos tas theonymias dieskevatsusan. So we have been initiated, or we are initiated into these things by way of the sacred writings or the sacred oracles. And so the main verb here is hivrisis. So you will find, in a manner of speaking, as it were, that every sacred hymn singing of the theologians um, prepares for um, the good working of the Godhead, um, pro odus, going before, um, prepares the divine names, both in a manner revealing and celebrating them.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
produce,
Yeah.
uh, so what do you make of them? Uh, 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 you how this going before, right? It's actually a technical term, so I probably Adam might know, or Richard. Do you have an idea what is more exact meaning of this term?
Of pro autos.
Yes.
It might be like in Plotinus, the what they call the procession, like when every metaphysical principle has this uh, propensity to produce like this kind of outpouring procession that generates the next principle.
Right. Not well close, I would say. I'm trying to pull out the Zuchla's edition. Well, actually, it's preparing the next one, but that's not the main point. Any uh, principle in this hierarchy, it begins with Plotinus, but then it all the way down to Proclus and the later Neoplatonists, so-called. So the way any spiritual reality, let's call it this way, exists, it remains in itself, it goes out of itself, which is called protos, and it returns into itself. So these three moments, they exist not in temporal sequence. So it first remains, then goes out, and then returns. But they exist as an, so to speak, atom, atomic moment, atomic unity, eternal. Well, this is a motion which is not in time. It's kind of uh, well, dynamic unity, and so here this author, he construes creation by referring the biblical idea of creation, understands it by way of referring to this concept of the Godhead going out of itself, right? So it's not, as we uh, uh, had an occasion to notice several times before, although implicitly, that the notion of creation here is not, ironically, creationist, so to speak, but emanationist, speaking this jargon, which is, of course, anachronistic, modern way of talking about it, right? Uh, so does this make sense here in this context? All right. Uh, can you please repeat ekphantorikos? How did you translate it?
In a manner, in a revealing manner.
Yeah, that's right. So I tend to think this care, the sky is exegetical, that's having the meaning that is. So these are not two different ways, or two different, it's not mm, uh, conjunction in meaning, but it's a clarification or so in a revealing way and more precisely. And how did you translate hymnikos?
Celebratory.
Celebratory, right. So that's important to note that this is particular kind of theology which is inseparable from prayer, at least from celebratory prayer. It's not just, as we would call it, academic theological discourse. All right. So I pulled out Zuchla's edition because, interestingly, she puts a period after Mimi. So do you see it now here? It's well, so I don't know what motivated Lila to put a comma here. I'm not sure. So I'm frankly, I fail to see a close connection between the first part and the second part, but he probably did since he put a comma here. So, so we have been initiated. Can you repeat, Cole, please, the first part, how you took it?
We have been initiated into these things by way of the divine oracles.
Right. It's not exactly by way. It's pros from as from. I think it indicates agency, not well, or at least a source. Uh, uh, Somehow, not sure what would be more exact. Because by way means it's indicates means instrumentality, right? So that doesn't seem to me what the genitive with pros would imply. Um, well, well, again, in this case, I'm not sure why comma is preferable to a period here, because I think that's a new thought which begins here. But maybe you have any ideas about that? Well, we can suspend it, and if you have any thoughts further, then Richard,
I
please.
agree with you. Since he starts a new like heirese second person verb, it makes sense to have a second.
Right. Well, it by itself wouldn't be decisive, but he basically uh, what does he mean by tafta? Let's dwell here a little bit. He was talking about this um, the way
I took the Tauta to mean like all these words that he was using to describe, you know, the
yes,
divine. He's saying like with respect to all those words, or like with respect to these ways of talking about God or something. That's how I took it to mean.
well, tafta, of course, can be taken adverbially. In this way, we were initiated, but it can be taken, and I think as I heard Cole, he took it as the object of Mimi, that like we've been initiated into these things, which is I think more how to say philologically it's more fitting, and all these things were introduced, by the way. You see, I've shown it on the screen. It's line 6, 7, 8 of the previous section. Os αυτή περιαυτής εν της ιερής λογής παραδέδακεν. And then remember this eon or oion, and then the examples are given. So, but all these examples are examples of what of what the Godhead uh, revealed and transmitted about itself in the sacred scriptures or sacred oracles. And then that matches that we were from these divine oracles, that just a paraphrase of sacred oracles or divine scriptures, we were initiated into these things. That closes this thought, I think. And then I think starts the next thought, which is kind of takes up and well, let's continue and see how it develops. Richard, please.
Sure. Can I just one thing though? What
Mhm.
did theonomias? What does that word mean? I didn't find that. Did that just mean the divine names?
Well, it's singular. That makes it difficult for translation. Well, Cole, would you remind how you translated it, please?
I translated it as the divine names.
Right. Well, maybe that's the best way. If someone has Leela's translation handy,
Yeah, I do. I can
uh-huh.
look. Yeah, he says, or he says, the divine names. Yeah.
The divine names. Well, it's more subtle, but it's very difficult to render it in English.
But is it made? It's the word theos and anima. Is that what's going on there?
Right, right. But theonemia is kind of an abstract noun, right? Like this ending, iota alpha, like eleftheria, it's freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Hierarchia, hierarchy, it's hierarchy. So it's kind of so he makes up this kind of noun, but it's difficult to make an abstract, to make the word name abstract nameness.
Yeah.
Divine nameness. Even so, it would be two words instead of one. So theonameness,
Yeah. Okay.
something
Thanks.
like that. Uh, all right. Richard, please continue.
Hothen in passe schedan ten theologike pragmateia ten thearchian horomen hieros hum numenein hos monada men kai henada diaten haploteta kai henoteta te superfluus amereias exes hos henapoiou dunameos henis domitha kai ton meriston hemon heteroteton hypercosmios sumptusumenon es theoide monada sunagomitha kai theomimeton henosin.
Okay, let's pause here. That's a semicolon, it's appropriate place. So let's translate.
Whence in practically every theological treatise or treatment,
Treatise is bad, yes.
okay, we see the um what is thearchion? Is that Godhead? We see
Yeah, we try we take it from Leela's translation. As I mentioned, it's great. Godhead is a great way to translate it.
so we see the Godhead divinely hymned or sung about as a monad on the one hand, and also as a henad, I don't know, as a unit or something, on account of its simplicity and the oneness of its super physical lack of parts. I don't know.
Well, super physical. It's well, I don't. Maybe there is a better.
Is that from Fuo, like grow? Like it's
Right. Well,
oh,
yes, but of course it has relation to feces, definitely. Let's see. Let's maybe ask for help from the dictionaries, because there might be a better way to.
it's lack of parts that grows above, or
Uh,
I don't know.
well, supernatural, of course, in English, supernatural means something, like in the movies, but
Mhm.
but uh, that definitely has this. Let's see first. Lampe doesn't obey me. Screen. Frozen. Just well. Uh, for some reason it doesn't obey me. Okay, we can. Okay, here it is. It prefers. Well, it has the meaning supernatural, above the level of ordinary, uh, transcending nature because divine. Well, basically, right. It means supernatural, but again, in English, it's very hard to. Uh, uh,
Supernatural in English sort of makes one think of like horror movies or like
exactly, is that what I
yeah,
said? Yes, it's
but
spooky. Yeah, enormous, lofty. That would be probably innocuous way suggested by Lampe. Uh, Actually, the first meaning. Overgrown wouldn't fit, although it has this meaning. It can mean also monstrous, actually supernatural, monstrous. Yeah, in good and bad, in good and bad sense. Yeah. Well, yeah. So it has the meaning of English supernatural too, but not doesn't fit here. Um, yeah. Okay. Let's stay with. Uh, what was the first? Lofty.
lofty, yeah.
Yeah.
And the oneness of its lofty lack of having parts, from which or out of which, as a one making power, we are made one. And then I think this is a genitive absolute, with our different parts in a
Well, heterotis, ton
diverse.
Mary Stone are divisible.
Oh, divisible, not
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, because this suffix with tau, uh, it makes it indicates ability or possibility. Well, Mary Stone. Let's see. It should be. Yes, it can be divided and it can mean divisible. So it can. So strictly speaking, by the form, or if you go by the form of the word, it's divisible. But all of course the more usual actually meaning LSJ give divided. It's derivative, but more usual meaning.
So is the noun heterotaton like differences? Our
Yes,
divided.
our divided or divisible. I like divisible more.
With
So
our divisible differences, sumptus dominon. Ah,
yes,
I thought I knew what that meant, but is that tuo is like something to do with
well, symptissa literally means fold together.
with
Right?
our divisible differences having fallen or
Being folded together, or
being folded together in in a in a way that transcends the world, we are gathered into a godlike monad and a oneness that imitates God.
yes, yes. Now, that's a very interesting passage, actually. Uh, so, does any one of you have an intimation of what is it in more? What is it an interpretation of?
It makes me think of the creation in Genesis and how the human being is formed in the divine image as a oneness or something like. Well, but actually I guess it's I don't know.
Yeah, but notice here we are the plurality of us. Who are we?
The
That
church?
well, exactly. That's the mystical notion of the church. And it comes up actually in this form as early as in Clement of Alexandria. That's the end of the 2nd century. He calls the church the monada.
Hmm.
And exactly, that's the church as an organism, as a mystical unity.
So, oh, okay. So I was taking it to be by the parts. I was like sort of thinking in terms of like, hands and feet and head and ears, the things that are like belong to the
Oh,
human body.
that each of us.
Yeah, yeah. But it makes a
Uh,
little more sense, I guess, and I think that's why I was thinking of the human body as the image of the divine in Genesis.
well,
But
that
this makes
actually that's your. Now I'm intrigued and interested in your reading. That is also possible. I am, of course, I have to admit, I did some work on Clement of Alexandria and the later tradition, and there is this thread of such understanding of the church. But you may be right. I'm maybe, and these are not mutually exclusive readings,
right.
but thank you. That's very interesting and also possible reading.
I know exactly what it is that I'm thinking of that makes me think this way, which is that I have read I'm kind of interested in the theologian Jacques Ellul, and he talks about the human individual as being the thing that's not divisible. It can't be like broken down into parts. It's an integrated, undivisible sort of integrity. But that comes out of his like he has these sort of particular anxieties that I think he's thinking about when he but anyway.
But it's actually it rhymes also with the in Clement in Clement of Alexandria, for instance. That's also it's on the one hand uh, uh, image or concept or of the mystery of the church, and on the other hand, it's for him is what happens in prayer, but by prayer he means uh, so-called mental prayer, which later developed silent prayer. It's also called, and the prayer without words by the mind alone. And in this kind of prayer, what happens is that precisely uh, the one who prays enters or becomes unified with the church. So that's the two sides of the same coin, so to speak. So I think that's why I said it's not mutually exclusive, these two readings. And on the contrary, they in the tradition which I have in mind, and surely known to the author of this text, they both presuppose each other. It's why that's thank you. Yes, that's a precious compliment to what I said. Any ideas or suggestions or questions? Well, if not, then so Adam, please.
Hos triade de diotein trisupastaton tes hyperusiu gonimotetos ekpansin exes passapatria in urano kai epiges esti tekai onomasdetai hos aetian deton onton epede pantepros to aenai par ikthe diotein autes usia poion agata theta.
Okay, if you you can stop here. Yeah, pause here.
As a trinity through the three principal revelation of its super essential fecundity, I guess, or
yes. Three principal. Well, hypostasis is a technical term in Greek-speaking Christian theology, so which are called persons of the Trinity. So three hypostatic, thrice hypostatic. What would be better English? Although English would be bad anyway in this case. Right. So thrice hypostatic revelation. So there is this super essential fecundity or fecundity, right? Fecundity.
Either one, I think.
Okay, fecundity, and it reveals itself in thrice or three hypostatic way. So that smacks of so-called modalism. So almost as if these three persons of the Trinity, if we speak Western Latin language, they are just modes or aspects of this unity. So it's kind of this fecundity of the Godhead is revealed in three aspects of thrice aspect. Well, anyway, so the fact that he also uses one word for this triadic nature, triadic quality almost of the Trinity. So in other words, it's not countable 1, 2, 3, which is of course makes sense because it's crazy to think of the Trinity as a number of objects, of 3 objects. Well, but in popular piety, it's presented this way. So, as we know. Okay, continue, please.
From which every line of descent in heaven and on earth
Patria is fatherhood, I think, fatherhood.
Every fatherhood in heaven and on earth is also named.
Esti teke onomazete.
Exists and is named.
Yes.
As I think there was a host on the earlier page, right? As
yes.
As the cause of the things that exist. Since all thing all things are brought or have been brought to being through its being making goodness.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Any questions about that?
Yeah, just as a background, so can you so you said that what's the word that is so in the West we say person of the Trinity. What did you say is it hypostasis is the
Yes, hypostasis. Exactly. Exactly.
and does
Uh,
that where does is that a Plotinus word or something?
well, Plotinus used this, but in a different sense. So there's a big debate between scholars. So the word was coined by the so-called Cappadocian fathers, the three great theologians of the Greek-speaking Christian world, and they lived in the 4th century. And of course, after Plotinus, and they definitely knew Plotinus, but it's possible that they borrowed the term, but they use it differently. And it has, whereas person, or which means a mask,
Right.
globally, it's relational. It's more kind of subject to relativization, ontological relativization, that it's not primary something. So they for hypostasis means something almost like first substance of Aristotle, which is the primary ontological unit. That's uh, so. But then, of course, in this for those theologians, all the once they defined it as use this term to define it, the question became why it's not three objects if they're so ontologically kind of self grounded, like then whence does the unity comes? That was the problem for them. Uh, Whereas I think for the Western, for the Latin theologians, that the problems were different in the thought of about the Trinity, but that problem was not as acute as.
So is this text post Cappadocian
Oh,
fathers?
absolutely, yes,
So
certainly.
he's responding to the thinking of those
Yes,
guys.
yes. He's trying to pull the blanket, so to speak, to the side of the unity very strongly, and because that's the danger of subversion of monotheism to begin with, even aside of Neoplatonic background, of course, because for Plotinus those hypostases were all were not on the same kind of plane of being. They were subordinate. There was a hierarchy. But here, when we have trinity of equals, and they all three, each of them is hypostasis, so it smacks of polytheism, right?
It does. Yeah.
Yes.
That's sort of the
So
problem with I feel like that's sort of the problem. This is a little off topic, I guess, but that's sort of the problem with the doctrine of the Trinity is that yeah, or at least for me. But anyway, that's
yes, that's why one of those Cappadocian fathers, he was responding to this. He wrote a treatise named "Why Not Three Gods." So he's directly responding. He bites the bullet, so to speak. But how successful he is, it's another matter. So all of and Basil the Great, this another one of the three was. Uh, Responding to this, why it's not, how to avoid inferring from this that there are three gods in the Trinity. So here this author is kind of, he has very he by his very way of speaking, tris hypostaton, he makes an adjective. It's the quality of being thrice hypostatic, so something one. So he sticks with the oneness, and then whatever all other characteristics, like three hypotheses, is just one of the characteristics of the oneness.
Yeah.
All right. So we're moving to Adam, right? Now to no, sorry. Who was reading? Who was Adam was
I
translating?
was just reading.
Oh, okay. So going to Cole, right? Okay.
Okay, so Sophin de Kalin otitaunta panta tatis ikias physeos aparatarta diasozonta passis harmonia senteu que hiras efprepias estin anaplea. So spoken of as wise and good, because all of all existing things this is I found this sentence quite difficult to parse out. Just trying to find the verb. So anyways, all existing things.
Yeah, start with the verb. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very, very good approach.
So estin is
Yes, and
the verb.
it's complemented. It's composite, sort of composite predicate. Estina naplia.
Are full.
Right. Then full of what?
Right. So all existing things are full of the uncorruptible.
No. Full. Anaplia takes genitive, like in English. Full
Okay.
of what? So of, of course, English is analytical language, so it doesn't have cases. But whereas of and off in English, it's most often in these languages which have cases indicates genitive case.
Okay. So of their own proper nature and full of every divine harmony and sacred good appearance or sacred good form.
Right, roughly speaking. Entheu, not quite divine, divinely, well,
Inspired.
infused or inspired, right? Yeah, so it's full of these things. Now, what is left, we have the subject, taonda panda, and we have the predicate, estin anaple, and we have, how it's called, the indirect object. And now what to do with this? Tatisikias, Physius, Aparatharta, Viasozanda. So Viasozanda is a participle, of course, right? And it agrees with the subject, Taonda Panda.
Yeah, I mean, the LSJ definition is preserved through. So being preserved through.
But it's active.
Right. Preserving through.
Yes, preserving all the way through, preserving completely, it's roughly speaking. Now we need to find the object. What does it preserve?
Well, the only candidate is aparaftarta.
No, aparaphrase is adjective. So we need to find something like a noun because it's an adjective and it's without article, so it's not substantivized.
Okay. Then I tap out. I'm not sure.
Well, any other, Adam, Richard?
So is it incorruptible of its proper nature, and it's preserving of every like divinely inspired harmony?
No, we have finished with the end. Divine. This is Anaplia. This passes harmonias antheu que ieras pripies estin Anaplia. It is full of the stuff which stands at the genitive. What is full? Ta onda panta, all existing things. Now, in the middle, there is this clause, diasosanda, preserving all the way through. Preserving what? Well,
what is proper to their own nature?
yes, exactly. The
Tatisikias physios.
you're right, exactly. And now one word is left, aparafta. What should we do with this?
Like being incorruptible, they're preserving of everything.
Yes. So preserving the quality implied noun between which is implied by ta, the qualities or characteristics of its own nature, preserving them aparafta, without corruption, incorruptible. And now we can, when we syntactically figure it out, we may think, and here I believe it's needed to think of the semantic function of this participle. Remember, sometimes it doesn't matter because clearly it's circumstantial, general, but here it's essential to understand the thought. So what is the force of the, in what, so how does this participle, what's the meaning, what is the thought here? Well, I think it's conditional. So, of course, one will be safe if one just translate any circumstantial participle by adding as in English, as they preserve. But I think here, to understand the thought, we need to be more precise. If they preserve the characteristics of their nature without corruption. So this is a kind of theodicy in very compact form, I think. So everything is, he calls, I mean, not he, but the theologian, they refer to the Godhead as wise, well, roughly, and beauty, Sophin Kalin. Well, we roughly understand what it is, but it's so wise and good, but of course the question is, if it's so wise, and so wise, this is a wise in the sense original meaning of sophos is the one is applied to an expert who does his or her job well, with skillful and noble, and so why there is some terrible things happen in the world, right? So now the statement is that all things are full of harmony, roughly, passes harmonias anaplia, if they preserve the characteristics of their nature uncorrupted or intact, basically, right? So all, roughly speaking, evil or ugliness comes just because these creations do not preserve intact their characteristics of their nature. Basically, the Godhead is off the hook in this way. That's how I read it.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little confused, because how could you preserve your nature intact and uncorruptible unless the Godhead helped you to do that?
Well, the Godhead helped you by how it is said in the previous clause. Uh, because everything is produced parichthi. Remember, we paragogy, of which it is a cognate noun. Sorry, it's a cognate verb in passive tense. So it is everything is produced on account of its goodness, which creates being. So goodness creates being. It created them good, but then we should wait till chapter 4, not to confuse with section 4. We are still in the first chapter, but in chapter 4, the author deals directly with this question: where does evil come from? But for now, from as much as said up to now, one already can infer that that it's some corruption of the natural qualities happens. So there is no basic in nature. There is no ground for what's the opposite for disharmony. All right. So it's Richard now who's reading, right? Whose turn is now?
It's me, yeah.
Okay.
Hos philanthropon de diapherontas hoti tois kathemas pros elethean holikos mia ton autes hypostaseon he koinonesen anakalumene proseauten kai anatithese kai paratasen.
Antithese tin anthropinin
Oh, sorry.
eschatin.
I skipped a line. Escatian exes apthenctos haplus Jesus sonetete kai paratasen elefe chronicein ho aidios kai heos tes kathemas eleluthe fuseos hapases tes katapasen fusen taxeos huperusios ek bebekos meta tes metabolu kai asuhutu ton oikeon hudruseos. Okay, I'll be honest, I had a really hard time understanding what was going on here, but it is communicated as philanthropic, especially since since it
Well, the Aferondos do take it to qualify qualify the verb, implied verb, communicated, or philanthropon, the adjective.
I guess the adjective makes more sense, especially philanthropic, and as especially philanthropic, since I don't know what tois is referring to. Tois kathemas, since it in one.
Yes, tois. Again, as before, ta, the article plural, right? No, it implied characteristic or qualities, right? Ta tis ikias physios. We figured that it means the qualities or characteristics or something like that of its own nature. So a noun is implied like this. So here a similar situation to the qualities or characteristic or something like that which are according to us, right?
Okay, so to them, or yeah, to the things according to us, it communicated.
It canonicism, it communicated, it became, let's see what are better translations of this, perhaps, canonicism, just if you have it more handy, my screen is a little bit, oh. Well, kinene, so it's partaken. I think using the traditional theological language, I think it's translated as it partook or had partaken.
It partook in truth wholly or completely in one of its persons.
Right, if you translate hypostasis as persons,
Or
right.
one of its hypostases.
Yes, yes.
Anakolumene proseoton. Summoning to itself.
Right.
And taking on the furthest human condition or something, the furthest human place. Eschatia is like,
right. Eschatia is well,
it's a spot at a banquet, isn't it? It's like the furthest couch or something.
Eschatia, yes, remoteness, extreme remoteness, I think.
Okay. Human remoteness from which, in a wordless way, simple Jesus was put together. And although the immortal one took up time, paratasin, is that like in every way?
Well, no. Paratasin, it's extension, I think. Extension, parathesis, duration. It's extension in time, usual meaning, but I'm not sure it can mean only temporal extension. Right, it's mainly in time. Yes, extension. Well, it's also
Sorry. Okay, yeah, sorry. I misread it as dative. So he took up a temporal extension, although he's the immortal one.
right.
Okay.
Yes, yes. It can also mean as extension in space, but I think here the first meaning, by its form, by its inner form of the word, it can just extension, but okay.
And
Take
yeah.
Agagonen as came to be.
Came to be. Where is that?
I'm sorry. There's no Gegonen. Oh, okay. Sorry. You're here now. Theostis kathemas elilith ephesus, right?
Yeah. Heos Teska, is that like, oh my gosh, I don't know. So
Tis kathemas physis, just the nature which corresponds to us literally, or which is ours, right?
so he took up our nature, or he entered into
No, Lilith, he came. It's Lilith. It's it's
Is that Erchomai?
yes, it's aorist of the Erchomai, yeah.
So he came to our nature being steadfast, I think, ekbebekos.
No, ekvevekos, it's from ekvano,
Oh,
having
disembarked, like coming out of.
Ho passis tis katapasan physin taxis epirusus, the one who transcends. It's again, we already used transcend to translate ex aereo, but unfortunately there are not many words in English, at least that I know, to be more precise here. So ekvano, the one who literally it's perfect aorist. So the one who has from vano, to go, who has gone out
Of the whole taxis order of what is according to all of nature.
Any nature,
nature.
any nature. And he did this hyperousios, supernaturally came out. Yes.
With
Sorry, super essentially, hyperousios. Okay.
With the hydrusis, with the like steadfastness,
I would say foundation with
the foundation of his own things, of the things proper to him, unchanged and unconfused.
yes, exactly. Yes, yes, right. Great. So basically, that's unchanged and unconfused. There, of course, terms very standard from dogmatic definitions. So he almost adds it almost as an afterthought, just to show his orthodoxy, the author.
Right.
Yes. All right. Great job. Any questions about this? Well, if not, then that's how I stop sharing. All right. See you next time then. I'll stop the
Have a good week.